Hello, and thank you for joining me in the virtual world to watch this video, Introduction to Yoga for Nurses and Healthcare Workers. Before I begin, I'd like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which my home is built and from where I'm filming these videos from, the Wadawurrung people. I'd like to pay my respects to the elders past, present and emerging, and give my thanks for all of the love and understanding that they have for this land and its spirit. I also would like to acknowledge that yoga comes from India, its origins are from India, and I would like to pay my respects to the ancestors there, as well as the teachers that have come before me and have passed this knowledge on. My name is Ali Ogilvy, and I am a registered nurse working on an acute medical ward in the Victorian regional town of Geelong. I know very well the challenges that healthcare workers have been facing lately. The job is fairly challenging as it is, and just recently it's gotten pretty tough. I'm seeing people coming to work, they're tired, they're stressed out, they're anxious, exhausted, they're stiff and they're sore, and it's no wonder really. So on top of everything else that we work with, we've also got the PPE covering us and the masks restricting our breathing, something that is considered so important in yoga. It's pretty tough. So hopefully this may help some people, what I've done here. So I've been taught in the tradition of a great yogi named TKV Desikachar. And this is something I love. Mr. Desikachar's teachings place such a great importance on teaching yoga in taking into consideration the individual. So that includes not only their capabilities as far as movement goes, but also taking into consideration their lifestyle and giving people a yoga practice that will be achievable for them. Whilst I know that as nurses and healthcare workers, we are all very different from one another and incredibly unique, there are also many similarities that we have in many ways. And I wanted to design a yoga program that specifically had the needs of healthcare workers in mind, particularly in regard to being able to fit yoga into your lifestyle and around your work. So I have designed practices to fit in around your shifts. There's a practice for before a morning shift, after a morning shift, before a late, after a late, around the night shifts. There's a practice for at work as well. I've tried to keep the practices as short as possible. I think this would also be fine for anyone who's practiced yoga in the past, but just hasn't been able to have the time to get to classes. This is something that you can do at home. The benefits of yoga are wide and varied, and you've probably heard of many of them, such as feeling calmer, being able to relax, feeling the body grow stronger and more flexible over time. But I will say that the experience will be different for everyone. And that's the same with most things, okay? So calming the mind and easing the body, it can be really hard. But when it is practiced regularly, and that is why I've designed this program to fit in with your schedule, it does come much more easily. The postures that I've chosen for you to move through aren't particularly challenging. This definitely isn't an exercise program. Probably the most challenging part to begin with will be getting onto the mat in the first place. And that's where there's a sense of commitment that needs to come in. It does become important. And then as you practice, you begin to feel the difference that it makes, and it becomes more of a priority for you. Settling the mind can be very challenging, and we do this by directing the mind towards the breath and the body, and then also noticing ourselves when our mind begins to wander and gently bringing it back to the breath and the body. There's a focus there. This takes practice, so please don't give up. Just keep getting on the mat and practicing. It will become easier. I've been excited about making this introductory video because I've already made all of the practices, the before and after class practices, but this video is really special because it will show you how to move. It gives more detail into the posture that I didn't have time for in the classes, and it will show you how to move into the postures in a more individualized way. So moving into the postures in a way that they are comfortable for you, because everyone is different. There are modifications that you can make. I never want you to feel as if that you need to be able to touch your toes in yoga. And that's something some people have said to me, don't you need to be flexible to do yoga? Well, no, you don't, because it's moving towards that. It's more about the movement towards it. It's not about getting there, if you know what I mean. So I'm going to talk about the postures, and I'll also talk about the breath and pranayama, which are the conscious breathing techniques that you'll see in the series. Please be patient with me. My videos aren't exactly the best quality, and I've put this together on my own with the IT skills of a 46-year-old nurse. And I'm sure there are plenty of 46-year-old nurses who are really up with IT, but I don't even have a Facebook account. So this is pretty new to me. I might have a Facebook account one day. I'll have Instagram for this, and there'll be YouTube. You might even be watching me on YouTube right now. So whilst I have qualified as a yoga teacher, I will always be a student of yoga. My teacher said to me when we started our course that what I'm teaching you now is just the tip of the iceberg, and she was so right. So I'm always open to feedback. I'm constantly learning about this. So please let me know if you have any concerns, and yeah, I'm open to that. If you would like to participate in the program, please visit my website, www.everyheartyoga.com.au. It'll give you all the information that you need to participate in the program. And on the website, you will see that there are different goals that you can set for the amount of time that you practice yoga a week, and for how many weeks you want to practice for, and you can choose which goal suits you the best. Okay. There's also things like frequently asked questions, which explain some more important things about yoga and its history. There's a page on how you can prepare yourself for the program, gives tips on creating a space for yourself for yoga, and how to make it easier for you to achieve the program. And if you do decide to set the goal to practice yoga so many times a week for however many weeks you decide, please email me, because at the end I would like to send out a survey just to gain some idea on how people are going and any benefits that they may feel, or any obstacles that they have as well. There's no cost to the program, but I am going to set up a system where people and organisations can choose to support the program if they wish, and that will be on the website. I just think that this helps to make it all the more accessible for everyone as well, because I don't want cost getting in the way. And I really wanted this program to be really accessible. So you can do it on your phone, you can do it on your TV, on YouTube, that sort of thing. So now I'm going to begin by giving you very brief explanations of each of the asana or postures. And traditionally in yoga, asana is a tool that is used to assist the body towards comfort and stability, so that you can sit in a comfortable position for a long period of time in order to meditate. It also assists with preparing the breath so that it is smooth, and for pranayama, the breathing that we move into at the end of the practice. For you, at the very least, I hope that it provides your body and your mind with some much needed relief, and that it assists you in moving through the rest of your day with some more ease. Throughout the practice, throughout the program, when you practice the postures, I'd like you to think about having a balance of stability or steadiness and comfort or ease. This is an area of focus. In yoga, this is known as Sthira Sukham Asanam. Sthira is stability or steadiness, and Sukham is comfort or ease. To assist in recognizing if there is Sukham or comfort and ease, and a balance of steadiness, we observe the body. Is it comfortable? And the breath, is it smooth and free? If not, reposition yourself or pull out of the degree that you are bending a little to see if the situation improves. There should never be pain, and by comfort, I don't mean you feel nothing. There should be a nice stretch somewhere, but it feels good. There is a comfort in it, and the breath remains smooth. As we move in and out of the postures, each movement will be accompanied by a part of the breath, either the inhale or the exhale. The part of the breath that is used will depend on the movement, and I will talk you through that as I go through each posture with you. The reason we use a part of the breath, either the inhale or the exhale, is because whichever part of the breath we use will complement the posture, and also the posture will complement the breath. Last of all, before I begin to talk you through the postures, with the yoga that I teach, there is a lot of emphasis on function over form. By this I mean, the function of a forward bend is to bring a stretch into the back of the body. For one person to do this, their range may mean that they can touch their thighs or their knees. For someone else, it may be their shins. Others will touch the floor. So the point of this is that a forward bend is still a forward bend, no matter how far you can fold forward. And it always has the same function, but the form may look very different between people. So if you're watching me and you're like frustrated because your body doesn't, and the shape that you're making doesn't look exactly how I am, that's okay, as long as the function is the same. So now I will begin by showing you Uttanasana, the forward bend, because I think that that's a really good example of how we can modify the postures to suit the individual. If you do have an acute back injury, I've advised, or an acute injury at all, I have advised that please don't undertake the program. And if it's chronic, talk to your health practitioner, maybe show them this video to see if it's suitable and safe for you. So now let's begin talking through the asana or postures that you will see throughout the series. Hello, so I said we were going to start with Uttanasana, but I changed my mind because I thought we better start with Samastiti, which is the starting standing posture that we always begin with in a standing series, or the standing part of a class. So Samastiti, it sometimes translates to equal state, which means that the body is in balance in an equal state, both on the left side and the right side, as well as the anterior part of the body and the posterior part of the body. So there's an even distribution of weight. You'll hear me talk through this at the start of a lot of the postures. There's the option to have your feet together, like so. So for some people, if you've been practicing yoga more regularly, and this is the position that you're used to and you're most comfortable in, that's fine. Throughout the series, if you have had more experience in yoga and you prefer to move in and you know very well the extension of a posture and it's safe for you, you're welcome to go into that. Otherwise, you'll hear me throughout the series saying standing with your feet a comfortable distance apart from one another, generally around hip distance apart from one another. You might need to just move your knees a little bit. You want to feel a great sense of stability from the ground up. So very stable here. There's an even distribution of weight from both legs, so on the left and the right side, as well as throughout the foot from the front to the back. There's an even distribution of weight. The arms are alongside the body, the shoulders are relaxed, and the chin is slightly tucked. Samastiti. Uttanasana. Uttanasana is the forward bend, and this little bit of instruction is going to take a bit longer than the other postures because there's a few of the principles of yoga and the asana practice that I'd like to talk about when I talk you through this. So the forward bend, at work we see a lot of people with lower back injuries and lower back problems. If you have an acute injury, please, I advise you not to undertake the program. If your issue is chronic, and depending on the severity, please talk to your health practitioners, your GP or your physio, to ask them whether they think the program is suitable for you, and maybe show them some of this video, okay, so that they can get an idea of what it's about. One thing I'm going to say before we start going through the asana instruction is that throughout asana practice, the breath is through the nose, okay? So we're breathing in through the nose and out through the nose, okay? So if you have a problem with that, that's okay. That is the preference, and hopefully you can work towards that, but we don't want the focus of the breath becoming a source of agitation for you either, all right? So would I tell you that? Now, with Uttanasana, there's lots of variations, as I told you, or modifications. As I told you, I don't want you to ever feel like you have to touch your toes in yoga. So there's some variations. One is, particularly if you've got a tight lower back, tight hamstrings, you can bend your knees as much as you like, all right? And that can sometimes bring some relief into the posture, or just to help make the posture comfortable for you. We want stability and we want comfort in the posture. We don't want to feel nothing. We want to feel something, but there still needs to be some stability, a lot of stability and comfort. So if in the posture, you're in a posture and you notice that your breath becomes jagged or short, it's not smooth and not flowing nicely, you may need to reposition yourself. So often a bend of the knees, a alignment of the feet, that sort of thing can help bring some more stability and ease into the posture. So bending the knees, the other thing is you can just come forward to your thighs if that is where you are at in a forward bend, okay? If that's what's safe for you, that is fine. Otherwise, you can come to your knees, your shins, or the floor, all right? Depending on you. We're all very individual, and a forward bend for one person may be to here, and that will be just as beneficial as it is for someone else to go all the way to their toes. Now, so Uttanasana is a really good one to explain why it's so important to use a particular part of the breath as we move in and out of postures, so the inhale and the exhale. Uttanasana begins with an inhale, and it's a raising of the arms. So there's tension in the arms, they're not floppy. We raise the arms, we can either take them forward or take them wide, depending on your shoulders and what feels good for you. So that's an inhale. The fold part of the posture begins with, we begin the exhale and we start the movement of the body with a gentle drawing in of the lower belly. So just below the navel, there's a gentle drawing in of that area as we begin to fold. The arms stay alongside the ears and we're folding from the hips. We're not folding from the upper or the middle back. We're folding from the hips. So bending the knees as much as you need to, coming forward. The spine stays long, all right? And if this is where you're going to, as far as you're going to fold, then you take your hands to your thighs. If you're going to fold to the floor, folding, lower belly's drawing in as we're exhaling. That's when we get to the place where we're going to stay, that's when we release the arms and the shoulders. So the fold part comes on an exhale with that gentle drawing in of the lower spine and we're folding from the hips. While we're down here, I'm going to show you something you'll often see in a yoga class, and it's called a sthiti. So it's a lengthening of the spine that comes with the inhale while we're in a forward bend. So after our exhale into the position, we inhale, lift the chest away from the legs a little and lengthen the spine. The chin is tucked, shoulders draw back and the shoulder blades towards one another. Spine is long, and then we exhale, lower belly gently draws in as we fold a little closer to the legs. To inhale, throughout the series, I have advised to bend your knees and to take your arms wide. A little less pressure on the lower back doing this. Exhale, arms by your side. So that's Uttanasana. And just as I'm talking about the importance of either inhaling or exhaling as we move into postures, you might like to give it a go, doing the opposite to see the difference. So try exhaling your arms up and inhaling as you fold. A very different feeling, and you'll see how the part of the breath really complements the posture and the posture complements the breath. So that is Uttanasana with a sthiti. You're a Badrasana or warrior pose with a twist. So we're starting Samasthiti once again. We're at the back of the mat. Turn the left foot out, I'll talk through the left foot, around 45 degrees and take a step forward with the right foot, a large step forward. So from here, the front leg's straight, or you can bend your knees slightly if you like. So here, we need to, before we begin, gain a sense of stability. There's distribution of weight throughout both legs, okay? If you don't feel stable here, you're a bit wobbly, you might need to move your right leg over a little, your right foot, over to the right a little. You might need to readjust the angle of your back foot as well. Now, to begin with Virabhadrasana 1, Warrior 1, the hips are facing towards the front of the mat. Now, some people may have their hips facing sort of on more of an angle, depending on your pelvis and its pattern, but to move them towards the front of the mat, we never jar the pelvis. So some people, it's just your pelvis won't go there, and that is fine, all right? We perform Virabhadrasana, begin with an inhale. So I'm going to talk taking the arms forward. Inhale, raise the arms and bend the front knee so that it comes in line with the foot and over the ankle. Okay, now pressing through both feet, pressing through the left heel here as well. So that's an inhale to get to this position. Now to move into warrior with a twist, we move into that on an exhale. The lower belly gently draws in. We turn to face our hips to the long side of the mat, facing the long side of the mat. The right arm comes forward, the left arm goes back. Breathe in to face the front again, hips move to face the short edge of the mat. And exhale, straighten the front knee, arms alongside the body. That is Virabhadrasana, warrior and warrior with a twist. Now I'm going to talk you through Trikonasana, triangle posture, and the modifications that you can use in Trikonasana to make it comfortable for you. So we take a large step to the side so that our legs are wide, our feet are separated, and our feet are parallel with one another. Shoulders are relaxed, arms alongside the body. Now, there's a couple of options as to where you can be looking in this posture. So I'm just going to first of all, show you that, all right? So it's an inhale to raise the arms to shoulder height. Exhale, we bend laterally towards the left. Now there's the option to look towards your hand as you're tilting, looking towards your right hand, looking up. If that is comfortable for your neck. So depending on your neck, if that's comfortable and you've got quite a strong neck, that is one option. The other option is inhale, raise the arms, and exhale, bending laterally, looking towards your left foot. Chest stays open. And then inhale to rise. Exhale, arms by the side. You can also just keep your head still and keep looking ahead as you tilt. Breathe in to center. So another thing I'd like to tell you here is that throughout this posture, the hips do stay aligned with the front of the mat. So if you are bending too far, that's when your hips will start to twist, like so. We only go as far so that the hips stay facing the front. So that may be this far. You just don't go any further. Do you know what I mean? Don't go any further so that your hips come out aligned. If you just bend this far to keep your hips in line, that's fine. Particularly men who've got a different shaped pelvis, they won't fold laterally very far because the pelvis won't allow. Well, some will, but generally that's one thing. So of course we do both sides, and there is also some arm modifications in this posture. So an inhale, I'll go to the other side this time because I've gone to the left bit. Turning the head to whichever place you want to go as you bend laterally on the exhale. The side bend happens on the exhale. And then we'll stay in this posture sometimes. There's the option to take your left hand to your lower back, that's if you're on the right side, for the stay. And there's plenty of places to focus your attention here. Of course, you want to keep the breath smooth. You want an opening in the front of the body and the chest. You might feel something in your neck, a nice opening there. The feet are firmly grounded as well. The other option here is to move into the extension of the pose. So the left arm comes over the head, like so. So a great opening for the side of the body, all right? And when you come up on an inhale, exhale, arms by your side. That is Trikonasana. This is Uttanasana, the squat. So there's lots of different ways that we can squat in yoga, sometimes with the legs wide. I'm just going to show you a basic version, okay? So it'll be, just quickly, it's an inhale as we lift the arms, as almost always. Exhale, the bottom moves towards the floor, the knees bend, and first of all, the lower belly is gently drawing towards the spine. From here, we can inhale to a half squat, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, squatting a little deeper, lower belly is drawing in. And inhale to rise, exhale, arms by your side. One thing I will say about when I talk about the lower belly drawing in, and I should have said this earlier, it's not a sucking in of your lower belly, it's just a gentle drawing in, providing support from the base up, okay? So that is Uttanasana. We'll move through that a little bit, mostly as a counter posture, so rebalance ourselves after we've done some side work. Okay, Uttanasana. Brahmali or tree pose. So this is a very focusing and balancing posture. I'm going to demonstrate balancing on my right leg. So in this pose, we're balancing on one leg. First of all, we take the attention to the sole of our right foot and really ground that into the earth. So imagine that that foot is solidly into the earth, okay? This leg is going to be like the trunk of the tree holding you stable. You gently take some weight off the left foot. Now the modification is you can just have the toes of your left foot touching the floor. All right, then the other option is that you can be standing on one leg with your left leg like so in front of you. For those who've been practicing yoga on a more regular basis or are really good at balancing, there's the option to move into classic version of the pose, all right, with the arms lifted. Very balancing and stabilizing posture and focusing. There's not much else you can think about while you're doing that pose. So Brahmali, I think that's in one of the practices that you'll see. Now I'm going to talk you through Chakravakarasana, which translates to Ravi Goose pose, which, yeah, I find quite unusual. But anyway, we begin Chakravakarasana in Badrasana. This is called Badrasana, this pose where we are sitting back on our heels and sitting on our knees, okay? So, for some people, this is too much for their knees. There's an option to have a blanket under your knees. If your ankles have trouble sitting flat on the floor like that, having a blanket under the front of your ankle as well is another option. So you need to just play around with this posture a little bit, using a blanket, repositioning it to find where you're most comfortable. If this is all too much, there's the option to start up on your knees as well. Okay, so just have a play around and see what's suitable for you. Chakravakarasana is a movement, and it combines both a back bend and a forward bend. So an arch of the back and a rounding of the back, and you'll see that as I instruct you through. It's a breath in to come onto the knees. Exhaling, the lower belly gently draws in as you fold forward. The hands come to the mat, chin tucks, back rounds, and the hips move towards the heels. Now, when I say moving towards the heels, some people will just be like this, and that's fine. Your hips don't need to come all the way back to your heels. Depending on your body, some people will just come to here. Okay, so, and that's fine. The idea is that they are moving towards the heels. It's not that they're on the heels, it's just that they're moving in that direction. Same with all of the postures. It's a gentle moving in that direction, and over time, you might move a centimetre closer. You might get all the way there. It's not really, it's not the point that the hips need to be on the heels. It's the moving in that direction. All right. I'll keep going on about that. Breathing in, raising up. Exhale. The hands come towards the mat, the hips towards the heels, and the forearms towards the floor. They don't have to reach the floor. They're moving towards the floor. Chin is tucked. We inhale, lifting onto our hands and knees. The chest moves forward. Chest expands forward. We look ahead.
The shoulder blades draw towards one another, and you can see there's an arch at the back. Exhale, tucking the chin.
Moving the hips back towards the heels, forearms towards the floor, like so. Now this is the classic variation of this posture, is to breathe in, come onto the hands and knees, and press the right foot behind you, lifting the leg, okay? Exhale, knee returns to the floor, tuck the chin, hips towards the heels, and then the other side.
Chest expanded forward.
Now the further extension is the arm, opposite arm and then leg lift, like so. And then we inhale, bring the arms alongside the ears, lifting, exhale, hips to the heels, hands to the knees. Chakravakasana. So this is Badrasana forward bend. Just going to show you, first of all, without any props, and then I'm going to show you how to make, for some people to be more comfortable, they might like to use a cushion or a pillow or a bolster, okay? Especially when we stay in the forward bend part of this pose. So it's an inhale, raising the arms, option to have already been on your knees. Exhale, take the arms wide so they come behind you. Lower belly's drawing in. As you fold forward, turning your head to one side, curled over. Breathe in, arms come out and wide to lift. Exhale, folding, turning your head to the other side. Feels nice on the neck. Inhale to rise. Exhale to return. So, for some people, that can be really uncomfortable, coming to the floor. So the hips don't reach the heels, the head doesn't reach the floor. In comes the, oh, sorry about that. So, bolster, you can use a well-stuffed pillow or a cushion. And we inhale to rise, exhale, fold, resting the head on the prop. So if you feel uncomfortable in that posture, give that a go, having a prop in front of you. And then when we stay in the posture, so we often stay in this posture. It's we call it Badrasana forward bend in my tradition, but in other traditions it's different, and the English version of it is child's pose. So when we stay, like so, for those whose head doesn't reach the floor, the bolster is really nice, or the other option is you can rest your hands, your head on your hands like so, on your fists. Just a really nice restorative posture, curling the spine, the fetal position really. Nice place to rest. Adho Mukha Shavasana, commonly known as downward facing dog. Most of you have probably heard of it. We begin in Badrasana, on our knees, hands on our knees, backs long, shoulders are down. Inhaling, we lift onto our knees and raise the arms. Exhale, fold forward, tucking the chin, hips move towards the heels, of course the lower belly is gently drawing in. The hands come to the mat. The fingers are spread apart on the mat, okay? On an inhale, we lift onto our hands and knees, the chest expands forward, shoulder blades moving towards one another. And as we exhale, we tuck the toes, lower belly is gently drawing in, and we lift our hips towards the ceiling. We want the weight to be distributed evenly across each four parts of the body that are touching the ground, so the hands and the feet. There's an even distribution of weight. You can have your knees bent as much as you like. The heels are moving towards the mat. You might like to bend your knees one at a time, keeping the breath moving while we're staying in the posture. The elbows are facing towards one another. You might like to have a little micro bend in your elbows as well to assist with your stability. Want to feel stable here, bending the knees as much as you like. So this posture will look very different from person to person, all right? We really would like not to have the spine curled over like this. So we don't want the shoulders hunched up around the ears. We want the shoulders back. The ears are sort of in line with the arms, the chin's tucked. To come out, inhale, taking your knees to the floor, looking ahead. Exhale, tucking the chin, hips return to the heels. Forearms move towards the floor. Breathe in, arms alongside the ears as you lift. Exhale, return the hips to the heels, hands to the knees. Now there are other ways of moving into this posture, many other ways, but this is the one that I've taught in, I think it's before a night shift. So you'll see this in before a night shift. Popular yoga pose most people have heard of. Adho Mukha Svanasana. Bhujangasana, also known as Serpent Posture or Cobra pose. We move through Bhujangasana from a lying position with our stomach on the floor. The hands are placed just below the shoulders, fingers are spread, elbows are tucked in behind you, like so. Now moving through this posture, we actually aren't putting a lot of weight on the hands, okay? It's just a gentle lifting of the head and the chest from the floor. The legs are activated, the toes are pointing behind you. So there is some strength coming from your legs and your lower abdomen in this one. Your glutes are tight as well, okay? So if you have that part of your body, the lower part of your body activated, there's intention there, it will help a lot with this posture. So we start on the floor, with our head on the floor, and we're moving with the breath. Inhaling to lift. Exhale, lowering the right ear to the floor. Breathing in to lift, let the breath lift you. So you start the breath before you actually begin to move. So start the breath. And exhale, lowering the left ear to the floor. Begin the inhale, allowing the breath to carry you. So that's Bhujangasana. And when I say you begin the breath before you start the movement, that's actually how moving into all of the postures should be. I haven't instructed it really clearly throughout the series, but if you remember that, beginning the breath before you start the movement, there's a great benefit from that comes with that as well. Okay? Uttanasana translates to wind-removing pose, and you'll see that there's a lot of compression through this lower abdominal space, the area of elimination in this posture. Okay, so we start lying on the floor, bending the knees so that the feet are just below your hips on the ground. Lift the feet off the floor and place the hands on the knees. Now, throughout this posture, the hands aren't pulling the knees, they're more like just coming along for the ride, as my yoga teacher has told me. So it's an inhale here, and then an exhale. The knees draw in towards the chest, the lower belly's drawing in, compressing that lower abdo area. Inhale, the legs move away, the arms straighten, keeping the feet off the floor. Exhale, a drawing in, elbows will bend. And inhale to move away. We use this posture quite a bit throughout our tradition, more so because it's a really good counter pose to balance out and bring balance within after the other postures that we practice. That is Uttanasana. Okay, bridge pose or Dvipadipita it's generally performed on an inhale. So classically, it is performed on an inhale. I can't remember if I use an exhale in the series. If you are going to use an exhale, that's just to reduce the depth of the movement, really. Just makes it so it's a little less intense, the posture, if you know what I mean. So, Trikonasana. I'll talk you through, I'll show you on an inhale. So you lift, first of all, you lift the head and you lower your neck so that the chin's tucked. So looking towards your feet, chin's tucked, arms are alongside your body, hands are pressing into the floor. Feet are about hip distance apart from one another. Some people who've been practicing for a while will have their feet together. And inhale, lift the hips towards the ceiling, lifting the chest, it's moving towards your chin, pressing through the feet, the glutes come together and tighten. And exhale, lower the spine, and then finally the hips to the earth. That is Trikonasana. This posture is a modified version of Jathara Parivriti. It's a lying twist. So we take the arms out around shoulder height, knees are bent, feet are on the floor, about hip distance apart from one another, close to your hips. We breathe in and we twist, gently lowering our knees towards the right as we exhale, turning the head to the left. Inhale to center. Exhale, the knees gently lower to the left, head to the right. Sorry if I've got those mixed up. Breathe in to center. Now, sometimes we stay in this posture for a period, for some breaths, and that's where a bolster can come in handy again as well. For some people, it will feel good to have that support underneath the knee that is closer to the ground. Okay, so that is where a bolster comes in handy once again. Breathe in to center. Jathara Parivriti, modified. This posture is Viparita Karani, which means inversion. So Viparita Karani or inversions are considered to be really special postures in yoga because they provide the opposite process to the usual way that we operate. Okay, so said to be very restorative, and you'll see this in the sleep practice. And there's a couple of ways that I've explained in the sleep practice that you can move into it. One is to have your back on the floor and your legs up on a chair, like so. Arms are alongside the body, palms facing up. The other way is if you're in the bed for the sleep practice, you could have your legs up the back wall, so the wall behind your bed, resting on there. And then also sometimes in Viparita Karani we use a bolster or a cushion or a well-stuffed pillow underneath the hips, like so. Okay. Sometimes there'll be instruction in this posture, and I think I may have used this in the sleep practice to bring in a visualization. So with the inhale, visualizing a light or a colour travelling all the way along the body to the soles of your feet. And then as you exhale, this visualization travelling back down your legs, through your body and out to relax. And I talk a little bit about visualizations later on in the video. Yeah, so that's Viparita Karani, very restorative posture, taking the weight off your legs and reversing what has been going on. It's also said to provide a different perspective, which it does, because you're upside down. I love it. There is one posture that you won't see throughout the series, and it's actually a really important posture, and it's really sort of torn me a little bit whether to include it or not, but I thought I would show you Shavasana now so that if you have the time, please move into Shavasana at the end of your practice. Shavasana takes about 5 minutes, so it would probably extend the time of each class, and I really want to keep things as short as possible so that you could actually even have the time to do program. But yeah, this is really important. So if you can, please take the time to practice Shavasana. Shavasana actually translates to corpse pose. So it's a time of absolute stillness within yourself. And I'm just going to lie down on the floor and talk you through Shavasana a little, okay? So if you want to practice Shavasana at the end of your classes, come back and watch this video so that you get a good idea of what it is, and then you can do it yourself, all right? So we lie down on the floor. And we've done the practice, we've done the asana, we've done the pranayama, the breathing, and now we're letting go of control of both the breath and the body. But we are noticing things, all right, to begin with. Lying on the floor, you can have your palms facing up, feet a comfortable distance apart from one another, and they're sort of flopping out. We're totally relaxed here. This is actually the only posture, when we stay in postures, we relax into them, but in this one, there's absolutely no effort, okay? Just begin by noticing the back of the body and its connection with the earth beneath. So which parts of your body are connecting with the earth? And maybe feeling a sense of heaviness of your body on the earth, the back of your body on the earth. And then also observing the front of the body and perhaps some lightness there. Taking your mind around your body to begin with. This is the mind still moving here. Just observing if you can notice any areas where there may be some residual tension. And perhaps imagining that the breath is traveling to that area as you inhale, and as you exhale, the breath carries away that tension. Dissolving any residual tension throughout. Just moving your mind around, noticing those spots. Now perhaps noticing where you feel there is some more space in yourself. And resting your mind there for some time. And then eventually allowing your mind to become completely still. If you do notice that your mind has become active again, at the same time, there's still a noticing, okay? So you'll notice if your mind becomes active again. And if you do notice that, redirect it back towards the breath. And then through the breath back to stillness. Total calm, still place. So that is Shavasana. Please, I really hope that you get to practice Shavasana when you have the time. It is a really important part of the class, which I'm really sorry I've missed, but time is of the essence, and yeah, there's still some other really great important things in the practices that will benefit you as well. This could just add to it, if you know what I mean. Okay, I think that's all for the postures. Now we're going to move on to pranayama, the conscious breathing techniques and the breath that we use in yoga. Moving into talking about pranayama, so the conscious breathing techniques that you'll see throughout the series. Now, pranayama is one of the tools of yoga that we use. It's very important. The breath is considered to be the vehicle towards good health, really. Prana, the word pranayama, translates in many ways, but one of the ways of translating it is prana as breath and yama extension. So pranayama would translate to extension of the breath. The other way that you could look at it is from a yogic perspective. Prana is considered to be like a vital life force, an energy that exists within all living things that can't really be explained by modern science. And it is actually understood within many different other cultures as well. So it could be considered as extension of the life force, but I'm not really going to go into that too much throughout this series. That's something you might like to look into in the future if you become more interested in yoga. Now I'm going to go through some of the techniques that we'll use throughout the series. First of all, before I begin that, I would just like you to be really comfortable for this part whenever we move into pranayama, really comfortable. So we've moved through the asana part of the practice, moving the body with the breath. That has prepared both our body to be really comfortable, our mind as well, to become more focused and to have moved within, and our breath to have more comfort with the breath and ease and the smoothness there. So in pranayama, we do not want to be focusing on the body anymore. So if you're not comfortable, that's where your attention will go and it will move away from the breath. So that's why I really would suggest, if you're not comfortable being seated on the floor, please take a chair to be seated in. We want the spine to be long, okay? We want this area to be open for pranayama. The other option is, and I think I say it in most of the classes when we're seated on the floor, to be seated on a cushion, a pillow or a bolster or a blanket, to have your hips a little higher than your knees, okay? That will help with the comfort for pranayama. And now I'm going to explain a few things about the breath. In yoga, we observe that there are 4 parts of the breath, okay? And in the series, we do focus on these 4 parts of the breath in some of the classes. The 4 parts of the breath are 1, the inhale, and the time that it takes to inhale. Then there is a time when you are full of breath. So this is part 2, the time when you are full of breath, when there is no movement of the breath, but you have completed your inhale and you're full of breath. Then there is 3, the time that you are exhaling. And then there is 4, the time when you are empty of breath. When you are still empty of breath, the breath isn't moving, we're empty of breath. So 4 parts of the breath in yoga. Ujjayi breath, or victorious breath. It's the breath that we use most of the time when we're moving through the postures or the asana in yoga. Okay, now I haven't spoken about it in the classes because it takes a lot of time to explain it, and you can watch this video and use it throughout the practices, all right? So Ujjayi breath is a breath that moves through the nose, but there's also a focus on the throat. So your mouth is closed. There's a slight constriction at the back of your throat as you both inhale and exhale, so that there is a gentle oceanic sound that you can hear as you breathe in and out, okay? It helps to connect your mind with your breath through the vehicle of sound. Another way you can practice it is just, this is an example. Some people say, pretend there's a mirror in front of you, go, now close your mouth and breathe through your nose with that constriction at the back of your throat as if you were making a ha. Provides a focus, provides that link between your mind and your breath through sound. Ujjayi. Oh, and one thing is that it's not supposed to be so loud that the person next to you can hear it, all right? So it might be a bit loud the first, when you begin practicing it, but you refine it, set that sound, okay? It just needs to be really subtle and quiet so that only you can hear it, okay? There you go. Yasam is a technique that we use, and it's a finger movement that we use to help us with focusing on the breath, okay? So we might just move the thumb across the fingertips as we count the breaths as we move through. one technique that you'll see in the series is as we place the thumb on the base of the finger, and as we inhale, move the thumb along the finger to the top. Exhale, move the thumb along the finger to the base. For the next breath, move the thumb to the middle finger. Move along as we inhale and back down as we exhale, and so on. A technique, a finger movement technique. It doesn't have a special meaning, but it helps direct the mind towards the breath. Yasam. Now, there is one practice where we use the Pranayama technique called Nadi Shodhana. So this is alternate nostril breathing. And so it involves closing over one nostril while we inhale through it, then closing that nostril, exhaling through the other, breathing back in through the same, and then out through the other. So a little bit tricky, but I'll talk you through it. Now, there is the option to use your thumb and your index finger to gently close over the nostril. So gentle pinch, sort of closing over the nostril, and it's not down the bottom of your nostril, it's up the top, just under the bridge of your nose, so that the breath won't be traveling in a place where just the breath, first of all, enters and exits the nose, okay? So, you know what I mean. So it's just up the top. Now, you can either use your thumb and your index finger. Traditionally, the right hand has been used, but if you're left-handed, that's okay as well. But yeah, traditionally, the right hand. So this is a simple way to use your fingers to block off the nose. There is also a mudra in our tradition, and in different traditions, they use different hand ways of placing the hand, but the way I've been taught is Murugi Mudra, which translates to deer mudra. You place your index and your middle finger together and fold them in towards your palm. So your thumb and your ring finger and your little finger together. The thumb and your ring finger are the fingers closing over the nose. Now, there's the option to support your elbow just to keep yourself upright. You don't want to be moving down like this, and we don't want the elbow out like that. The elbow's to be in front of you. And so I'll just talk you through, make this quick. It's a gentle closing over the right nostril, opening the left, and inhale through the left. Close the left nostril, open the right, exhale through the right. Inhale through the right. Close the right, open the left, exhale left. Inhale left. Close left, open right, exhale right. Inhale right. Close right, open left, exhale left. That's 2 rounds. So basically, we always begin Nadi Shodhana with an inhale through the left nostril and then exhale through the right. My teacher taught me a great way of remembering the direction of the breath, of which nostril. So imagine that your nose is like a mountain and you inhale up the left side of the mountain, exhale the right, and then you inhale back up the right, exhale the left, inhale the left. You're always coming back up the same side of the mountain that you went down. You know what I mean? So that is Nadi Shodhana. Nadis are considered to be the energetic channels that they are the energetic channels that we have within our bodies that carry what in yoga we consider to be the life force, not recognized in Western science. So if you're interested in finding more out about yoga, you can look into that a bit further. But basically, this breath is considered to be very cleansing and balancing, harmonizing the left and the right sides of the body and the left and right hemispheres of the brain. But really harmonizing, I would say. So that is Nadi Shodhana. Following on from teaching you about Nadi Shodhana, I just remembered that there is something that is pretty important that I should tell you about as well. Because in Nadi Shodhana, if you have a nostril that's blocked or you're having too much trouble, it's agitating you to use your hand to block off each nostril, there is something else that we use in yoga that assists us in bringing the mind within. So in yoga, what we're doing is we're moving our mind away from the outside world and bringing it within ourselves. And this little tool that we often use, and I use it throughout the series, so I think it's pretty important that I talk about it, it's visualization. So we often say visualize the breath. And this is something you can do in Nadi Shodhana if you have one nostril that's particularly blocked. You might like to, so when we say visualize the breath, we generally use an image of a light or a color. And so if your nose is blocked, you could simply visualize that the breath is moving in and out of each nostril, okay? Using a color or a light, pretending, imagining that there is a color or a light traveling through each nostril, all right? Yes, so when we say visualize the breath, that's what we mean. And the other thing is, and it's a little bit hard for us as healthcare workers sometimes to do this, but when we talk about the breath, we don't always mean just the lungs. So you'll see in some relaxations, I might say visualize, first of all, notice any area of tension in your body and visualize the breath traveling to that area. And I'm sure that many of us have actually used it with some of our patients when they've got pain. Well, I have. I don't, yeah, maybe not everyone. But yeah, so you can visualize a color or a light traveling to that area. It doesn't need to just end where the lungs are, if you know what I mean, okay? And then using that visualization to help release any tension in that area. So yeah, that's something that you'll hear me say. It's a little bit hard to sometimes let go of that idea that the breath travels just to the lungs, but if you can let go of that idea and just visualize a light traveling as you breathe in and as you breathe out, it just assists in bringing yourself within and bringing attention to particular areas. Okay, so visualization is a tool of yoga. There's a pranayama technique that we are going to be using at work. So there's a little practice that I've got for you to practice in your breaks, and it uses a breath technique called Brahmali Pranayama. Brahmali is the name of an Indian bee. Traditionally, this in the text, apparently this breath is talked about that you would go deep into the forest to practice. So if when you are practicing this at work, you would like to visualize that you are deep in a forest and that feels good for you, give it a go. Now, in the practice that I've got for work, I've advised that I've taught that you cover your eyes with your fingers and gently close over your ears with your thumbs, like so. But I said in that practice that I was going to teach you Murugi Mudra, which is a special. Now, I haven't explained much about mudras. Why I say mudras? Well, mudras, unlike nyasam, like the moving of the fingers, where there's no really particularly special meaning, mudras can be postures of the body or placement of the hands that are considered to have a special meaning. So for Brahmali Pranayama, there's a mudra called Murugi Mudra that we can use to place the hands in a way that is said to enhance withdrawing the senses, which I think is a really great idea, or would be really helpful at work if that does help, to withdraw your senses, to move within and move away from the outside world. So I'm going to teach you here Brahmali Pranayama with Murugi Mudra. We take first of all, I'm going to tell you something, because if you're too uncomfortable at work to make this sound, this is a breath with a sound, a humming sound. So if you don't want to make the sound at work, you don't have to. You can just imagine it, okay? But practice with the sound. It's really, you'll notice the thing. You'll notice the difference. So we are going to close over, we can have the mouth closed. We place the little fingers just below the bottom lip and the ring fingers on top of the top lip, in between your nose and your lips. Your middle fingers just rest either side of your nose like so. Index fingers close over your eyes and your thumbs pressing gently on the cartilage between your ears and your cheeks, like so, okay? So it's an inhale through the nose, the mouth is closed. And exhale, making a humming sound. And again, and again, so on. So when you're making that humming sound, your senses are closed, just focusing on the vibration within your chest and your body, and we'll take a few breaths using the technique, and then you have a rest, and just observe yourself within any vibrations or sensations that you may be able to feel. Okay, so that is Brahmali Pranayama with Murugi Mudra, which is said to assist with withdrawing the senses. Other option is just to cover your eyes over and your ears like so. That's if you feel a bit silly using the hand placement, okay? So to finish off, I just thought I would explain to you one of the hand positions that you'll see throughout the whole series. Really, we end with this hand mudra. So special meaning hand mudra. It's the one when we finish, we'll inhale the hands over the head, can't see them here, and the fingertips come to meet one another. You leave a little hollow space between your two palms, bring your hands down in front of your heart space, and this is called Anjali Mudra, and it's said to have a special meaning of creating peace and harmony within. So that is how we're going to finish each practice, and I really hope that it does help you with this. Namaste. So that's the end of my videos, introductory video. I hope that you've learned a lot from it. I hope that it helps you to move towards the program. Please be in touch with me. I'll definitely have an Instagram account coming up. Yeah, email me. I'd really like to see how everybody goes with this, and that it helps to make a difference, I hope. Thank you.